For a second time in 2 months, Rostec boss Sergei Chemezov has bitterly complained about the Central Bank of Russia's exorbitant interest rates. He said that with such conditions, his companies in the defense industry will no longer be able to export abroad, saying it is unprofitable. He fears that the bank is to put interest rates up to 23% very soon, and that the long production cycle of some items such as planes and ships will mean they will cost more to build than they can sell them for. He was speaking today at the LX forum that discusses economics. Today, the 26th, the ruble hit 108 to the dollar, an indication that inflation could be heading towards hyperinflation too. Chemezov went on to complain that cooling down the economy and its rampant inflation has not worked at all. He also said that once production of exports stop, it will require huge funds to restart it. His warning is clearly directed at the governor of the bank, Elvira Nabiullina, who is widely held to be responsible for all the ills in Russia. It is clear that she is very likely to be asked to leave soon. In another story, several of her colleagues have already left their positions, leaving only Elvira to take the blame. If the interest rates are reduced, then inflation will soon go out of control, and she will of course be blamed for that too. Please like and subscribe here, or read further for more of the backstory of Russia's collapse. Sergei Chemezov, head of Rostec, one of the biggest companies in Russia, warned in October of mass bankruptcies if the interest rate continues at the current high level. The industry boss despaired as he said that the interest on borrowing is eating into all the profits of Russian companies, making investment impossible. Rostec is the main producer of military equipment for Russia's war machine, and the company is heavily reliant on credit to produce goods for the government. If interest rates remain at the level of 21% or go higher and continue like this, we will all go bankrupt, he said. Further pressure was put on Rostec by the incoming defense minister Andrei Belousev, a statist economist with no clue about how the free market works. He has demanded goods to be produced at ever lower costs, regardless of how they can do this. But as Rostec boss said, the Kremlin cannot be criticized. Only the central bank can. Russian businesses are bracing themselves for a rate rise of up to a 23% level in December, according to analyst Alex Potavin. And many businesses are fleeing Russia, including oil and gas producers, finding no profit at all there. In another first earlier this month, the governor of the Central Bank of Russia, Elvira Nabiullina, made a controversial sideswipe at Putin's costly obsession with destroying Ukraine, making it clear that the country can no longer afford to fund war. Desperate to balance the new 7,000-page budget for 2025, Nabiullina has been faced with the impossible task of controlling inflation. With the economy heading for hyperinflation, putting up interest rates is still her only tool. Interest will rise again, making it the 9th time this year, or she will be asked to leave. And in a strange quirk, as soon as the date of interest rate rise is announced, Russians make haste to banks and loan sharks to borrow and spend as fast as they can. They rush to beat the rate rise, believing that inflation will negate future interest. And despite her reluctant support for Putin and his illegal invasion of Ukraine, she is still complicit as a war criminal and international pariah. Her days in the hot seat seem likely to be numbered, and she would have nowhere to go. Putin's unrealistic demands to bring down inflation whilst expanding the war economy by a prospective 25% were unrealistic. Despite the planned increase in the military budget to 13 trillion rubles, the sum is still not enough, according to former Duma member Vladimir Milov. He states that to make progress in the war, Russia would need to spend 20 trillion rubles. According to RE Russia, up to 1.8 trillion rubles are paid annually to military personnel alone in signing up bonuses, wages, compensation for injury, and to compensate families for the thousands of additional dead each week. Every day, hugely expensive aircraft, ships, tanks, and missiles are destroyed. The war certainly looks unsustainable for much longer at this rate. Since the illegal invasion started, the Treasury has been supplementing the economy with Putin's so-called war chest, also known as the Sovereign Wealth Fund. But that is fast depleting, and many members of the Duma argue against dipping into it further, fearing the catastrophic oil price fall that is coming. Borrowing would usually be another option, but Russia has been shunned by the international market. A recent auction of bonds at 17% interest was a failure. Paying the interest on existing bonds is also an unaffordable activity. It is very likely that the increasing war costs must be funded by taxation and by not increasing benefits such as pensions, making ordinary Russians poorer than ever. Never mind, State Duma member and anti-LGBT fanatic Vitaly Milonov suggests rummaging in dustbins and trash for clothes. He really does. A dire shortage of workers countrywide is stymieing production and services are falling apart. Shockingly, Moscow police are currently short of 75% of officers, but it is claimed that the government cannot afford to increase wages to attract personnel. Yet Russian men, who could be productive in the economy, are tossed like logs on a fire to fight on the front line in Ukraine. Can you believe that there are people in America and Europe who still believe Putin is a master strategist? Thank you for watching. My channel is still very new, so it would help me if you subscribe. Bye for now.